Hello, I am with my friend Cece Jones. I'm so excited to have her join us and to talk a little bit about her online presence and how and why she shows up in the world. Cece, I was thinking about this conversation and remembering that I think the first time that you and I ever worked together, it was in the heat of a political campaign.
Mhm.
It was, I would say, a high risk and high trust environment.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, before we met, I Googled you and I looked at your online profiles, and I think you had a website at the time, and it made a difference um, to just have, some of that digital visibility, that online presence. I felt like I kind of knew who you were. And something I admire about you is you do a really good job of staying close to your values online. And it made me feel more confident and comfortable heading into that meeting.
Mm.
Um, I just wanted to share that and just curious, are you thoughtful about how you show up online? Do you put a lot of time and attention into what someone might find when they Google your name?
That is a really, really great question. And Bridget, I just want to also just start by saying thank you so much for reaching out to me to be a part of this project of yours. I have admired your work for so long and your presence, particularly in Oklahoma. So thank you for having me. Am I worried about, let's start there. Am I worried about what people will find about me? No, I'm not. Um, how thoughtful am I about my social media or online presence? Um, not not overly thoughtful, I will say. I try to remember to speak and not spew. And sometimes that's very hard, especially when you're talking about something that you're really passionate about, and other people, maybe in your circle or in your social digital environment, it's kind of like very indifferent about. Sometimes it's hard to not spew and just with a lot of anger. I only have because I tend to be, and people don't believe this about me, but I tend to be an introvert. I'm not out there because I just love the spotlight or I just
Hmm.
love people asking, like calling on me to do certain things, right? I'm not like, that's really not my personality. I'm out there because I'm compelled to be,
Hmm.
right? Um, and you're right. Like my values really do drive me. What I believe strongly for good or for worse. These are the things I believe, at least today. And I'm adamant about those things, particularly as it pertains to how I view what it means and what it looks like to love God and love my neighbor. And so I'm not overly concerned about my presence on socials in terms of kind of my reputation. I'm
Hmm.
more concerned about causing harm. I try to be thoughtful about, okay, even if I am really passionate about something, and let's say I'm absolutely right about it, there's still a way to convey and there's still a way to communicate that keeps people or encourages people to be open-hearted and not closed down.
Hmm.
I feel at that sometimes because I get so angry about particular issues. But that's the only thing I try to be cautious about. I try not to cuss too much because I am a, but I think, and I know different people think differently about cussing, but I do think that there are times when you need the strongest language possible to communicate something that's really important, right? But I try to take those kinds of considerations because I really do want people to be open-hearted and to at least consider what I'm thinking.
Hmm. Something I have admired about you, and I've shared this with you online, is again, you have a tendency to stick so close to your values. And to me, what shines through anytime you are posting on social media is your valuing of human life and that you think human life is sacred. And
Yeah.
that's the through line that shines through for me anytime you are posting. And again, I'm just wondering if you have that in the back of your mind, that that's something that you are wanting to convey, or does it just sort of organically happen for you?
I'm so glad that that is what shines through for you. I really am. I'm so blessed by that. It's not intentional. I don't wake up every day saying, how do I underscore the value of human life? That is not at all how I approach it or what I think. And so it really does happen organically, right?
Mhm.
But because that is so deep for me, because I think that people's lives are sacred, because I really believe that everyone is made in the image of God, because I believe that everybody deserves mercy and grace, because I believe that everybody should have a right to human flourishing, and that should show up in our policies and how we treat our
Mhm.
all that kind of stuff. I think that's just comes out because that's just kind of almost the bottom line, one of the bottom
Yeah.
lines of my faith, right? So it's not intentional, but I am very, very glad that that's what is conveyed because I really mean that. I really
Mhm.
believe. And if we are not um, kind of, speaking up for people, I don't, what are we doing? You
Yeah.
know, I only am a policy person, and I have only gotten into the social issues that I've ever gotten into because of somebody's story, somebody's situation, somebody's hardships,
Mhm.
Um, yeah. And so, a pastor once told me and a whole congregation of people in a sermon years and years ago, people matter to God, so people ought to matter to you. And that has always stuck with me all these years. And so that's something I try hard to live by.
Mhm. So, I mean, you are a person who has influence in a lot of different circles, a lot of different communities. And I'm wondering why you choose to use your influence online at all. Because you're right, sometimes it invites misunderstanding. Sometimes it invites, trolls into your life that, you don't have to deal with if you don't want to. So, like, why do you think it's important to advocate online at all? Why go there?
Yeah, that's good. Because I think that, and I know your platform is not like a religious platform, and I'm not trying to turn it into a
No,
religious,
you do you.
I'm trying to show up as myself.
Yeah.
Um, because I believe that the Holy Spirit gives us the power to become witnesses. And
Mhm.
I believe that we are called to let our light shine. And I think that social media just happens to be the mode by which our values and our thoughts and our questions and our concerns and our convictions can be vastly expressed. Now, again, I tend to be an introvert, so like I don't have a social media strategy, right? Like
Mhm.
there's no meeting to say, okay, Cece, what are we posting this week? Like this none of that. I don't know how many followers I've got. I'm not trying to get any more followers. It's not like I'm actively like pursuing
Yeah.
things, so I'm not very social media savvy, but I do know how important and powerful social media is in expressing something to the world, right? And again, I feel these things that I believe and have convictions about, I feel compelled to share. When we're
Mhm.
talking about human life, when we're talking about children dying, when we're talking about starving people, when we're talking about the lack of access to medical care and food assistance for community society's most vulnerable, I feel compelled to say something about
Mhm.
those. I can't sleep well if I do not show up in some kind of witnessing way to the things that disturb me and I think are wrong. Now, I'm sure that there are many people who would say, okay, Cece, but all we hear from you is like the bad stuff. No argument. I have no argument. Again, this is not Rama. I have no strategy. I have no argument. If everything is well, I don't have anything to say, you know? If everything is well, I don't have anything to say. But because things are not well, often I'm compelled to often um, direct at least the people who, or share with at least the people who follow my platforms, what I believe is the more excellent way. I believe that's my
Mhm.
responsibility, and so I try to use it well.
Yeah. Well, this is such a fascinating conversation because, over the last year, maybe longer, I have been really thinking a lot about our online presence and how and if should local leaders build their own, followings online because it's such a noisy space.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I will say what I have come to, and I'm kind of like inching myself towards this point, is that I actually think it might be our moral imperative to use our voices online. If we have the capacity and the resources to communicate well, and we are choosing to stay silent in these online communities,
Mhm.
um, I don't think that we are behaving as leaders. Um, so
Yeah.
I hesitate sometimes to admonish, a civic leader or community leader because they are not actively using their influence online because I know again are likely working in lots of other spaces. But for
Yeah.
me, if I'm not seeing you witness or advocate in a digital space, I may not be seeing it at all. And
No.
so I love what you're saying about how you feel compelled, and it's not like you're working towards being some sort of famous popular influencer. It's just that it's not in your bones to stay silent.
It's not. It's not in my bones to stay silent. I have a very noisy mother. I have a very noisy grandmother. And they stuck up for people, not in it didn't look the same ways, right, that it looks for me today, but they
Mhm.
stuck up for people and they did what they thought was right. And they tried to be in the world with a soft heart and a but a strong back, and so I really have to say that those are the women I want to emulate. And there's so many other examples, right, of like historic figures that we have, women who are compelled and won't stay silent, and who push forward, even when it's not popular. I agree with you. I think it's like I think it's not a great thing if people have platforms and decide not to use them because sometimes your voice can be the voice that cuts through the noise, even
Mhm.
for one person or five people. Sometimes your question or your insight on something or your perspective on something can be the thing that cuts through and causes someone else to question, well, why do we do it that way? Why does
Yes.
it be that way? Why can't we change that? Right. And I think that all of that is really, really powerful. And the more of us who are intending to put good in the world, which I think are many, many people, many, many of us,
Mhm.
uh, the more we push humanity forward. But it's like, it can't just be me or you, or it has to be a conglomerate. It has to be the vast majority of us who say we want to live into particular values and we want to push humanity and, dare I say, democracy in the United States forward.
Mhm.
Think, in terms of the humanity piece, that's our role while we live, is
Yes.
we can contribute to that.
Yes. And that I am advocating for people to just believe in their ideas and believe in their voice. I will echo exactly what you said. Because I also think sometimes we are learning too as we're engaging. Like it's almost like you are working through your own ideas and your own clarity and confidence about your values and how you feel as you're sharing them. I think that's an important piece too. You can almost get in like your own silo, your own like inner thinking. And part of being in an online community is sharing it and seeing other people's views, being open to feedback. Um, have you done any of that type of engaging online, like in the comments section, for lack of a better word, having debate and dialogue online? What has that looked like for you?
Thank you. Whew, that's good. Yes. And sometimes it's gone very well, and sometimes it's gone very poorly.
Yeah.
And you know, I find that if try to engage people on social media and I'm respectful and I have good intentions, even if we end up at the end of it not agreeing, it's still a
Hmm.
productive conversation, you know. Um, that I feel heard, they feel heard and seen, and we can move on, right? And
Yeah.
respect. Now, there have been instances where, somebody will come on my page and say something really snarky. And a lot of times I can like, kind of scroll, right? And just ignore.
Hmm.
There have been occasions where maybe I was just bored that day and I was like, oh, I have time for this, right? And I'll find myself going back and forth. And the thing about me is that snarkiness, I try to be kind, I really do. And I think I lean more into kindness than snarkiness. But on a bored day, I can get snarky really quick. And I remember, during the election, I made a comment, and for whatever, and it wasn't even a terrible comment, but for whatever reason, the masses, I mean, the masses came after me. I was shocked. I was so shocked because what I said was not even a big deal at all. It was like one little line. I didn't think I put down anybody. But anyway, these people came after me with such a vengeance. And when I tell you I had time, I had time. And so I was in those comments and I was appalled at even the things I was responding with because I couldn't believe I could come up with snarky. But at the end of the day, I realized, I went back and I took everything down, from that comment section because I realized that back and forth did nothing productive at all.
Yeah.
It fueled, frustration. It just fueled hostility. It just fueled,
Hmm.
right? And no good thing was going to come out of that. And I wasn't
Yeah.
worried anybody could share what I was saying because at the time, because I still believed the things I was saying, right? And but it just didn't produce anything good.
Hmm.
Decided to take it down. So the comment section can be very, very dangerous. And so I really do try to either engage people on a day when like I have like had my devotional in the morning and I have a little bit extra patience and I have an open heart, to hear from someone else's perspective. But most of the time I just try to scroll on through because some people just want to kind of pick a fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'd love for you to share a little bit about what you're working on now and what does your day-to-day look like at this point in your career?
Okay. So my day to day is never the same. It is bananas, wild, hard, and beautiful. I love what I do. I run a consulting firm. I call it Specklebird LLC, and where I work on social impact projects um, around the country. I also do a lot of work with particular organizations. So right now I'm working a lot with the Black Church PAC, which organizes Black church folks in political and civic engagement. And because I'm based close to DC now, I do a lot of kind of advocacy on the Hill. But mostly, I am talking to organizations and individuals who want to take whatever their influence is or their resources are and put them toward the greater common good. And
Mhm.
so I'm advising and helping to lead projects that we feel will do that in a variety of ways. Well, it's whether it's dealing with anti-racism or gender equity or religious freedom or politics or all kind of stuff, right? My motto is just kind of very simple. I seek to do good, and if I can align with, what other folks have in mind to do, and I feel like it'll do good, then I lean into those kind of projects. But my days are wild. They vary. Um, I don't know what I can tell you what I'm going to be doing up until 3 o'clock today, but not beyond that. I don't have a clue as to what's happening tomorrow. I don't have a clue if I'll be arrested by the end of the week for some sort of civil disobedience. I just don't know. And that's really a beautiful thing for me.
Well, if you happen to be arrested, I would encourage you to at least go live on Instagram as it's happening because you might not know, but you have well over 7,000 followers there. And so we would all be watching and working hard to bail you out.
Bridget's on. I need you to lead the charge and getting me out. Because, I mean, 9 times out of 10, I would end up in a DC jail and I cannot eat a bologna sandwich. I need y'all to come get me, please. Don't leave.
Okay, well, I'll ask you just a couple more questions. One, if you were going to give advice to like a young person, or even not so young, who wants to grow their influence in their community, um, with these modern rules that we have, where digital influence really does matter, what would you tell them? Like, what advice might you give?
Good. You know, I would say, first of all, be a student, always be a student of the things that make you curious. Always be willing to learn more. Um, I would say figure out what you're passionate about. And I've said this a lot in life, like a lot of people think we're only passionate about the things we love. But if anybody follows me on socials, they know that you can be passionate about the things you hate as well.
Hmm.
And sometimes that's even more important, especially when you want to use your platforms to share particular messages, right, that are based upon your values. I would
Hmm.
say be very clear about what your values are.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
my I love God, love neighbor,
Hmm.
and and be kind. I mean, most of my stuff kind of boils down to that: do unto others as you would have done unto you. If you don't want your children bombed, tell everybody, don't bomb somebody else's kids.
Yeah.
If you don't want your children to starve, tell everybody, stop starving kids. Because
Hmm.
it's not okay for you, then why would it ever be okay for you for your neighbor?
Yeah.
Right? So I would say be clear on your values, be clear on the things that you are passionate about. Always be open to learn more. Try your best to speak in a way that is engaging and open-hearted so that you can just not be talking, but can listen to what you're saying.
Hmm.
You Speak and try not to spew, which I already said earlier. I have a hard time doing sometimes. That's what I would say. And just
Yeah.
be natural with it and keep it going if that is your mode of communication. Just be consistent.
Yeah. Well, I will wrap this up and say if I was giving advice to someone who wanted to grow their influence online, I would absolutely point people to you and to
Mhm.
leaders like you who are really leading with their values. Like I said in the beginning, you are always steady in
Mhm.
what you're advocating for, really unwavering in your advocacy. And I wish more leaders online would have that same conviction and confidence in their own beliefs. So like you said, there's no fear of someone finding me out in what I believe. That is kind of gone by the wayside anyway. Um, we need to be authentic in our real selves and living our values online.
Which I really appreciate you saying that. And again, thank you for having me. That's exactly right. I will never, you will never, we will never regret standing up for people. We will
Hmm.
never regret giving a voice to the voiceless. We will never regret, defending hurting people. There'll never be a day in life where we will ever regret that. And so, people can have at it. Search me high and low. I try to be consistent because you said something really powerful that I'm going to think a lot about, and I appreciate you saying earlier, that people's lives are sacred.
Hmm.
People's lives are sacred. I don't believe that's like just something I got out of the air somewhere. I believe that that's what God believes, and God is
Hmm.
so. We will never not be okay. We will always be okay with standing up for people, no matter what other folks think.
Hmm. Okay, well, tell everyone where they can find you. Where, if I go looking for CC Jones, how do I get there?
Absolutely. Instagram at Cece Jones Davis, Facebook at Cece Jones Davis, my website, ccjonesdavis.com. And people can email me if you want to email me, DM me if you want to. My email is cc. All of this is just my name, cc at ccjonesdavis.com. You can email me
Good.
there.
Good branding. It's all the same. You see what she did there, everybody? She
Thank
made it
you.
easy on us. Okay, well, thank you again for joining me. I look forward to sharing this conversation online.
Absolutely. Thank you. Love you.